7 people in 7 days are killed by 7 different methods. Rather, those methods are very inhuman. The most tragic person is forced to eat until his viscera get exploded. The most cruel method is tying a person to the bed. This person can't move within a year, but he can't die. But what makes people surprising is the murder methods towards 2 last victims. It's the death that people can't predict. It's a movie released in 1995. Over 700,000 viewers rated 8.8 for this movie. The killer is the second generation of a rich family who is well educated. His mind is fulfilled by Christian's dogmas. The dogmas has a note that humans comprises 7 types of sins. Only when offending one of them, we have to suffer from serious punishment. He calls himself as God's child and uses many morbid ways to punish those offenders. The story begins with a policeman who prepares to retire. His name is William. He's worked really hard for 32 years and just 7 days left he will retire. The higher office appoints a young man, David, to take over his missions. This young man is so energetic but he works too hastily and normally abuses. Hence, William doesn't like him. And David does, too. He doesn't like William. On Monday, the killer kills a fat man. This person hasn't stepped through his house's door. When he's dead, he bends his head down a huge bowl. His house is full of food. But the point is that his arms and legs are all roped. After being examined, it turns out that he was forced to eat while being threatened by a gun. The process lasted around 12 hours. After that, the killer beats his stomach, leading to breaking his stomach. If the killer is his enemy, he just needs a shoot. Why did he take it so long? Except that he has other implications. William is very sensitive. He feels this case is not simple. He refuses to investigate it to be able to peacefully retire. The third day, a famous lawyer is killed in his office. On the floor is a scale. One side is a 1 kilogram weight, the other side is the lawyer's flesh. On the floor is written by blood, greed. It is because this lawyer had helped offenders getting out of their crimes. Thus he'd received very high payments. In the scenario, there is a frame of his wife. It seems like the killer wants to tell David. The lawyer's wife knows everything. The head officer finds William, telling him about the new case. 2 continuous cases, they are very strange. He hopes William will receive them. But William refuses again. Thus, the head officer has to give William a bottle, which was found in that fat man's stomach. 3 pieces of wood look like floor's materials. William again visits the case's scenario. The wood pieces and the scratching on the floor are totally matching. He opens the fridge, inside has a line, lust, combining with the greed letter of the third victim. William understands that the killer targets to do missions. This derives from 7 deadly sins, including pride, greed, wrath, envy, lust, gluttony, and sloth. Up to now, the killer has solved 2 sins. He will kill 5 more victims. On the 4th day, David's wife invites William for dinner. On the table, they gossip with each other very well. The generation distance is being blurred. After the dinner, they all solve the cases together. The lawyer was threatened by a gun and forced to cut his flesh. His flesh has no bones or no cartilages. The killer wanted the lawyer to pay for his sin. And he punished the lawyer on behalf of God. But the scenario has no clues or fingerprints. And the first clue is the lawyer's wife. They immediately find her. After viewing the photo frame, they detect the frame that used to be touched before. They go to the lawyer's office again, taking off the frame on the wall and tearing the wrapping behind it. They find nothing. What is the clue? It's on the wall. It is a line written with fingerprints, help. But the fingerprint is not of the lawyer or the killer. If they're right, it's of the next victim. The 5th day, they've waited outside for the whole night. The head officer suddenly calls them. Already found the killer. The police immediately gathers a huge team, goes to the killer's location and breaks in there. But the house is empty. On the bed is a corpse covered by a blanket. When taking the blanket, it exposes a rotting corpse with bones and peeled skin. This person was probably killed. On the wall has the word, sloth. But the most cruel is that the killer has taken photos of him in different periods. The earliest photo was taken a year ago. So, the killer roped this man to the bed during a year. It's 365 days, 8,760 hours and 3 million minutes. Definitely ghost. The man couldn't move his body during the year, thus his spine was degenerative. The doctor finds antibiotics inside his body, which helps the wound not become too worse. He bites his tongue but couldn't die. Therefore, the police can't collect any clues from this victim. The 6th day, William has a new idea. In 1990, the FBI investigated by following people's reading habits. For example, someone likes reading criminal books, scientific books. The killer's motive comes from 7 deadly sins noted in Christian's books. If the killer borrowed the book at libraries, he had to provide identities and personal information. Very quickly the list is sent to them. They find a name in this list. His name is John Doe. He had borrowed a large number of books. Which of them is 7 Deadly Sins? They find his address, knocking the door, but no one is in there. Right the moment, a man is walking head to the house. He sees William and David, then immediately fires the gun, and runs away. It's him. David chases him till he comes close to a truck. He suddenly from somewhere points the gun at David's head, but hasn't pulled it. Because it's not the right time. David is one of his targets. After that, they search in the man's house. They detect many tools to crime. And many books, and more than 2,000 diaries. In those diaries, he noted about his mockery towards the detestable world. Towards John Doe, each person in the world offends a very serious sin. However, beneath the furniture, they can't find any fingerprints of John Doe. Though they catch him, if he refuses to receive the criminal, they can't convict the case. But John Doe suddenly calls them. Because of the police's appearance, he can't carry out his plans. But he still wants to murder. The 7th day, the victim is a prostitute. The door is left a word, wrath. John Doe forces one of her customers to wear underwear having a knife in it. Then he uses the gun to force him to kill the girl. The next victim is a young girl. On the wall is written, Pride. She was cut her nose, one of her hands held a medicine bottle while the other held her phone. She was so proud of her beauty. She can't throw her pride away which was in her bones. She took the hypnotic. 7 people, 5 victims up to now. 7 sins, 5 of them were convicted. Still left, envy, and gluttony. On Sunday, William determines to catch the killer successfully before retiring. But what surprises him is that John Doe comes to confess his criminal. He just makes a sentence.
I'd like to speak to my lawyer, please.
The police can't find any fingerprints at his house in the scenarios. It is because he peeled his finger skins. He doesn't use bank cards, and has no employment. He is well educated and very rich. It's so confusing. He has a life which is much better than anyone else in 1990. So, why has he done like that? Why is he so crazy? He still has 2 targets left, but he came to confess with the police. It should be a trap. His lawyer provides many deals. He hid the corpses. He requires that only when David and William go with him, he will tell the location of corpses. Or else, he'll use his psychosis record to avoid the punishment. All of his actions are enough to create a psychosis record. If they agree, he will admit his sin. It's time. David and William shave chest hair and put the communication system on the chests. After being well equipped, they get in the car. In the car, John Doe gives his answer. His target is to make bad people get their sins results. That fat man was so fat that he couldn't stand and go through the door, but he kept eating, crazily, and eating a lot of food. About the lawyer, he got money from murderers. About that pretty girl, his inner mind was so bad that she couldn't accept herself being destroyed. About the roped man, he did all of the bad things in life. About the prostitute, she spread the diseases through her job. William becomes silent when seeing Doe's attitudes. People like him inside his world always believe that they are innocents. But every corner in real life has contained their criminal clues. John Doe sees everyone too lenient. His purpose is to make a model for everyone. He wants people to look at him and follow his behaviors. Why is this city so bad? How can those bad people exist? He wants people to remember this lesson, forever. He reminds David that he's one of those bad people. Because just when he confessed, the police could catch him. Before, they just waited at the police station till the next victims were found. Rather, he spared his life once. Doe tells that thanks to his leniency, David can live till now. John Doe smiles and returns his seat. He finally achieves his goal. They eventually arrive at the location he told. There's nothing there, except for a dead dog. John Doe asks William what time it is. 7:01 a.m. John Doe tells that it's coming. What's coming? What does he mean? A delivery truck is heading to their place. From the car, a man gets off and tells that he received an order. He was required to give a box to a policeman called David. William opens the box. John Doe's currently the person who controls the scenario. William crazily stops David. He tells David to throw his gun. John Doe's angry. I'm F*** king jealous with you, David. I'm jealous because you got a pretty wife. This morning I visited your house, I wanted to play your role. But of course, I failed. Now, I have a gift for you. It's head of your pretty wife. The answer is finally out. John Doe offends the sin of envy. He's aware that he should be killed. However, he wants to drive David crazy. Yeah right, also the baby in her wife's stomach. He hasn't told David about the baby yet. 7 days, 7:01, 7 victims and 7 sins. At the end of the movie, William has a sentence. This world is a beautiful place where is worth to try. It's really an interesting story.